Welcome back to another episode of the Main Quest podcast. This is, of course, the #1 retro gaming podcast that looks just as good in a grass skirt as anybody at a Bad Bunny show. This is episode 119, and I am your host, Keith. Player versus Podcast is right around the corner, and I officially know, I've known for a while by the time this episode airs, what I will be playing in April. If you hop into the Discord, which is free by the way, everything is posted there already. And if you have 90 seconds to spare, I have a very condensed version of the live stream that I did that night up on Instagram and TikTok. Otherwise, the full 17-minute video I uploaded for free on Patreon. But if you would like to support the podcast and get some more content in return, myself and many others would love to have you on board. You can get more singular episodes like these, like the one you're listening to now, where I cover a game. There's also exclusive series, topic discussions, and a lot more. One of the perks of being a patron is that you get extra submissions for Listener Request Month. And unfortunately for the freeloaders, this was another dominant patron month. There was one general audience member, I think. One general audience member got through. But the patrons are out for blood every year on this thing. So if you want a better shot at getting your games through next year, you gotta jump aboard the Patreon. So enough about what's coming up in April. Let's talk about this episode. Tonight I got to talk to Ashton Ruby of Pod Curious and Retro Hangover. And I've known Ashton for quite a long time, but we actually haven't worked on a ton of stuff together. So I was pretty excited that he was down to come on the show, especially for a game that I guess is, I guess we found out is pretty niche, actually. We just learned that. Also, I found out Ashton was out of town while we were recording this. So I'm much more thankful to him for even taking his time out to do this. With that said, let's do it. It's Super Adventure Island on the Main Quest. Sometimes it's fun just to wing it. Just say whatever comes to your mind. It doesn't, you can always change your mind later. Like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's just roll right into this.
Sure.
Tonight's guest is an extraordinary gentleman who is most curious about podcasts and is also a hidden, unlockable character in the Retro Hangover podcast.
Oh, I like that.
I would love to welcome to the show for the first time, Ashton Ruby. How you doing, man?
Hey, Keith. I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Good. Hey, I know you aren't on location. Well, you are on location? How am I using that? Either way, you are recording from somewhere in the U.S. in a hotel room.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you taking your time out to actually be on here.
Of course. Yeah. Can't wait to have some super adventures.
Yes. And I do have a game prepared for you, so I'm getting a little bit of payback.
Yeah.
But before we get into all of that, I have to know, you are a first-time guest. What is your history with video games in general? Like, what are some of your earliest memories and how that kind of lead into you just making video games a hobby?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't really remember a time in my life I wasn't playing video games. I had some older siblings that were also into the hobby, so it was a lot of kind of watching them play and being like, oh, cool, what's that? What's this? And then being like, get out of here. And then finally, getting hand-me-downs of the NES those are my earliest memories. So the classics of Super Mario. We had the Mario Duck Hunt combo cartridge. So we played that, Zelda a lot. Mega Man, definitely played first and second Mega Man a whole bunch. What was the other one was coming to mind? We had the Sports Olympics one or something. I don't know. We had that big pad. I forget what it's even called. It might just be called the Nintendo pad. It had like A and B that you could like step on for like running games and sports games.
It's almost
or whatever.
like Twister.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a big pad. For some reason, we had a couple of those random peripherals. So, Final Fantasy, of course, played a lot of that. Could barely get past, Garland, but one of my earliest memories was we'd go to the rental place, back when that was a thing. We'd go on Saturday because they were closed on Sunday. So if you rented a game, you got a whole extra day for free, basically, that you'd return on Monday then when they opened back up. And so we'd go in and look at all the boxes and finally pick a game. And my dad would be like, all right, do you need to know how to read to play this game? Because we were always playing games. We were playing games before we knew how to read. So we'd be calling them up, be like, hey, what does this townsperson say? What are we supposed to be doing? So that was always my, when you ask me how long I've been playing games, I've been playing, since before I could read. Which I don't know if that says something about my reading ability or how early I've been playing video games. But so, yeah, and just always loved it since then, had the Super Nintendo after that. We had a pretty big household, fairly big, 5 kids growing up in the house. So we were pretty lucky console-wise. So we had a Super Nintendo. Older sibling had a Sega Genesis, and we just kind of sneak down to their room, play that. So we had kind of a good mix of consoles and games. We ended up getting the PlayStation when that came out, mostly because we were real into RPGs and the Final Fantasy series, stuff like that. So we had wherever Final Fantasy went, that's where we were going. So, but my younger brother got the 64 a Christmas or two later. So we also had the 64 growing up. Then we kind of switched into PC gaming. So I don't think I had another console until late into the PS2 era, somehow ending up with a PlayStation 2, playing that in college. But yeah, that's just been basically my main hobby for my whole life.
Okay. Very similar to me as well. I only have one older sibling. But yeah, you kind of answered one of my questions because my brother always had separate consoles, and then I would have separate consoles. So it would usually start as for instance, we would get the Sega Genesis, right? And then the Super Nintendo would come out, and then we would have a Super Nintendo, and then the Genesis would become my console while my brother had the Super Nintendo. And periodically I was allowed to play the Super Nintendo.
Exactly, yeah.
Until the next thing came out, the Sega CD is out. So I guess now that's back with my brother, and now I get the Super Nintendo for a while, Yeah, very cool. So you guys were a Final Fantasy household. How did that work out? Those are not conducive to, playing with somebody else usually.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I guess, I have a twin sibling, so we've always been playing video games together. So even the single player games were kind of just pass the controller, take turns, content to sit and watch basically and enjoy it just as much as being in control of the character. Occasionally we'd have separate save files, but I think from what I recall, that was we just would play, we had basically the same schedule and basically only wanted to play video games. So we were pretty much just playing at the same time. Or, catch each other up if we were playing by ourselves or whatever. If one of us stayed home from school, they'd probably be playing all day.
You're already on the 3rd disc? Holy
Yeah, exactly.
So I have to ask, what is your favorite game of all time?
It's a good question. My typical go-to answer for that one is Mega Man 2. And I think maybe having played it recently, I mean, it was one of those games we played just ad nauseum all the time. Had the stages memorized, and I don't even think we fought the bosses in the right order, but still would get through it. But I think the soundtrack more than anything just stuck with me so much that I just even if you're dying, I just loved playing it so much because I was just always rocking out to the soundtrack. That's probably my go-to favorite game of all time.
Was that your first Mega Man?
I think so, because I have a vague memory of going to like Toys R Us or KB Toys or some place that sold games that wasn't just a game store. And we were getting to get a game, and we were looking at it. We're like, whoa, there's a Mega Man before. This is the one before Mega Man 2. Whoa. Sorely disappointed, but it was.
Why does it have this weird, fat, frumpy guy on the box art?
We're like, whoa.
That's not Mega Man.
Yeah. We were like, there's only 6 bosses? What? We got shortchanged a couple bosses here. What's going on?
This game feels like it was made by a beagle. Shout out to Mass Keaton.
Yeah.
And then you were saying by hours played, you have a kind of
otherwise,
favorite.
yeah. I mean, I played World of Warcraft comes to mind just because of how long that was in my life. That probably takes the hour count cake. Aside from other offline games, like maybe most recently like Elden Ring, or a bit before that Skyrim. Final Fantasy VII also had a pretty high hour count before there was like a Steam hours played thing. That I know I spent a lot of time breeding chocobos and trying to get Knights of the Round.
That is an interesting way to decide what your favorite game is, because some of those could be just something that's like super nostalgic and like there's almost no replacing it, but then there's a lot of games that kind of find their way into your brain in a different way because of how long you actually spent playing it.
Sure, yeah.
I hated Shadow the Hedgehog. I hated playing that game. That game is awful. Nobody should play it. But also, I played it for like 12 hours for another podcast, which is longer than anybody needs to actually play. I think you can probably beat it in like 5 hours. But I wanted to make sure I did everything possible that I could in that game so that I could be as fair as I could to it. And that game has a special place in my heart because it is so memorable because of how bad it is, but also with all the time that I spent playing it. So Shadow the Hedgehog, you heard it here first. It's one of my favorite games.
There you go.
Well, speaking of games that may or may not have a soft spot in our hearts, you want to talk about the game we are supposed to be talking about?
Heck yeah. I'm ready.
All right, let's talk about Super Adventure Island. So, as I like to do with every episode, is I like to begin with our previous history with the game before coming to it for the podcast. And I'll start the section off. I feel like you've been talking for a bit. So, my previous history is that, well, as old main quest heads will know, I covered New Adventure Island on episode 8 or 9. And then around episode 30, I covered the NES version of Adventure Island. So this is my third Adventure Island game. Those games, it's funny because I think on those episodes, I probably stated that like I would not be able to tell you the difference between any of these games. Like they all kind of like blur together for me. And I'm supposed to be talking about my previous history, but as I played it for the episode tonight, I was like, yeah, none of this is ringing a bell. All of this still kind of seems like the other games.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. But so I mean, my previous history is pretty simple. Is that at one point I rented this game just like the other ones, and I didn't rent New Adventure Island. That's like one of the 10 TurboGrafx games that we actually had, but definitely rented the first game for the NES, and then definitely rented this as well. And that's kind of all I can really tell you. I didn't love the game. I didn't hate it either. I did not beat it back then. I did beat it for today's episode, and that's kind of it. So before you talk about your history with the game specifically, I want to know what your previous history with the series is as a whole. Do you even have any history with the Wonder Boy series at all?
Yeah, some. So actually, when I was looking through games that you were planning to cover, this one kind of stood out to me. And what really stood in my mind actually was Super Adventure or New Adventure, whatever it's called, the one for NES, the second one. So Adventure Island 2 was the one that was really kind of had a core memory unlocked or whatever. I mean, I shouldn't say core memory, but that was the one I had kind of the most memory and the most nostalgia from. And I specifically, what I enjoyed was riding the little dinosaurs that you can get in that one. So it's maybe unfortunate that you only covered the first from the series, because I think the other ones are a little bit better just because they got a little bit more going on with it. With the little dinosaurs you can unlock, they're almost kind of like Donkey Kong Country style little helpers that you ride along. And I don't know, I always just like, more than anything, just kind of the little sprites of the dinosaurs and Higgins like riding around on them, and they would shoot like sparks from the tails or fireballs out or whatever. So I remember renting that one a number of times, going to that rental place I mentioned, and looking at the artwork and being like, whoa, cool dinosaurs. And so maybe my excitement to cover the Adventure Island games was mostly tied to that, more so than Super Adventure Island, which I definitely played on the Super Nintendo, being like, oh, neat, it's on the Super Nintendo now. But I mean, that's mostly it. Definitely rented it a few times. I actually can't remember if we owned it or not. But yeah, I don't think we beat it. I think I remember being a little disappointed that there weren't the little dinosaurs and all the little extra things, even the little map that you kind of walk around in Adventure Island 2. I always liked the map. Yeah, that's about my history. So definitely played it, but more memory with some of the older ones.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll talk about how this is more or less kind of a downgrade overall compared to the NES sequels and even New Adventure Island for the TurboGrafx. By the way, dear listeners, if you want to go back and listen to my New Adventure Island and Adventure Island episodes, you got to sign up on the Patreon, patreon.com/the main quest. All of those legacy episodes are in a special folder for patrons, since they are slowly being chopped away on the main feed for whatever reason. I think total 55 episodes are missing now, so I have to add another 10 to that folder when I get time. But I will get to that. Anyway, let's talk about the development history for Super Adventure Island. Super Adventure Island is a platformer developed by Produce. You got to say it like that because there's an exclamation mark.
Yeah.
And published by Hudson Soft. So it's interesting because I didn't know this until I was doing the development history for this game specifically. And I probably just didn't do my due diligence when I covered New Adventure Island. But this basically came out concurrently with New Adventure Island. Meanwhile, Adventure Island was still coming out with sequels on the NES, as you just kind of talked about. I think Adventure Island 2 came out a little bit before this, and then Adventure Island 3 came out a little bit after this. So it was like
That's
kind of like a
kinda
Mega
wild.
Man and Mega Man X situation.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it looks like Adventure Island 3 might have come out the same year, 92, just based on quick Googling.
Yeah.
But
It would be,
That's insane.
this came out in the US in 92.
yeah.
Yeah, it's weird that they had some sort of like specific platform strategy for this series of games. I mean, they were
The
relatively
strategy in
successful,
quotation
so-
marks there.
Right.
Because, we look back on it and think with all these like, well, what were they thinking? But, they were making it up as they went along still at this point, with the NES and the Super Nintendo. It's not like it is today now where there's such, planned marketing and there are strategies and publishers and stuff now. But sorry to interrupt. But
No, you're good. I mean, I was just thinking because I made the comparison to Capcom with Mega Man and Mega Man X.
Right.
Does it even make sense, like in hindsight, to really split the series, or should they have just made like one definitive 16-bit game?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know much about development teams, especially in Japan. If they had different teams working on different, the same development company might have different people working on the different systems, or they are kind of working alongside each other. Probably my guess would be thinking about the overlap, like how many people own a Super Nintendo at one point versus how many still own a regular Nintendo, and that kind of, the potential sales there would be the only thing I could kind of think of if they were thinking about that kind of thing. Or if America is just an afterthought, like, here, throw it to America, they'll buy anything. I don't know.
No, it's pretty early on in the Super Nintendo
Right.
lifespan, so I think maybe people are just trying to get games out. And to me, it feels like it's like a nice onboarding game for people. Like this
Sure.
could have been a lot of people's like first games, one of their first games when they got a Super Nintendo, besides for Mario World, which I also had a thought while playing this game, in that it is very reminiscent of that first Adventure Island game on the NES, whereas Mario World is somewhat reminiscent of Mario Brothers. Super Metroid is somewhat reminiscent of Metroid, Link
Yeah,
to the Past,
that's true.
similar to the first Zelda. So this kind of is sort of taking the play out of the Nintendo playbook and being like, well, here is that first game, but better. And so therefore, if we put Super in front of it, it's a brand new game.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And to your point about, developers, about, basically who worked on the game. So, I mean, like I said, it is made by Produce.
Produce.
So it's not made by Hudson themselves. So it is kind of another team. They just basically outsourced the IP to somebody else. The IP owner is Hudson, and Produce just basically built the game for the Super Nintendo. So I would assume Hudson, gosh, I don't remember if they developed New Adventure Island or not. I would assume that they did. So they probably had different teams working on different things. As for the staff that worked on Super Adventure Island, the director is only known as Kion in the credits. This is from, back in the day when people were scared that they were going to poach their developers. So they just had
Pseudonyms and
monikers.
whatnot.
So yeah, right. Producers were actually from Hudson themselves. We have Mikio Uema and Butsuhiro Katawaki. The programmers were B. Hanawa and Makoto Sakai. And doing the music, which I had not known until I did the research for this game, Yuzo Koshiro. Motherfucking Yuzo Koshiro.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
That is crazy.
And now it makes sense because while I was playing the game, I mean, we'll talk about the presentation a little bit later, but while I was playing the game, I was like, this music it's so good. Quite the wild card here.
Yeah, you wonder how much of that's like, hey, I know a guy, you know?
Yeah.
Or
right.
or like, hey, Yuzo, we're making this game, kind of, you know, just mimicking our old one. You mind doing a soundtrack for us, please?
It's like, it's crazy because I was trying to find how he became part of the staff that made this game.
Mm-hmm.
Other than just like when this game was being developed, like he was basically just a freelancer. You know, he was doing like stuff. He was doing stuff with Nintendo and Sega at the same time. So he wasn't directly involved with any one developer specifically. But he already had that like prestige in his portfolio to be like, yeah, with Shinobi and Streets of Rage, he was like, yeah, I can make some bangers. I just don't know how he fell into this is such a random game.
Yeah,
I would say he's almost overqualified for
maybe
this game.
Yeah, maybe just a fan of the series. I don't know, because
maybe
Wonder Boy and all that have been out for a while. You know,
were you aware of that before playing the game?
No.
Are you surprised that this game doesn't get brought up like alongside the other stuff that he's done?
Am I surprised? Not really. Yeah, we'll get more into that probably, but
okay.
About what it's like playing this game,
for sure.
But no, I mean, you know, with a rap sheet like that, it's just more buried on top of even more renowned games and soundtracks, I think.
Yeah. So. But yeah, I mean, there's really not a ton out there about the development of this game. It's pretty cut and dry. Hudson was like, we should make a sequel. There's new hardware out there to take advantage of. And so we should just do that. And so they did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, I brought up like Super Mario World, right? Like, I assume you've played Super Mario World, correct?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
You heard of it?
I've heard it.
Okay.
Yeah. I've heard tell.
You know who Shigeru Miyamoto is? Have you heard of him?
Yes.
I think he made Sonic.
We go way back.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Smoking Lucky Strikes.
Yeah.
In one of those Nintendo hotels or whatever. Those red light district hotels or whatever in Japan. Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to ask, you know, I said Super Adventure Island may have been somebody's first game just because of how accessible it is. And if you're getting a Super Nintendo, you're probably getting Mario World with it, right? How, like in your mind, how does this even compare to not only Super Mario World, but like the plethora of other Super Nintendo platformers that were out there? I mean, you know, just as a whole, like, would this be something you just kind of like threw in the closet and forgot about?
Yeah, kind of, I think, unfortunately. You know, whenever I'm playing a game, like talking on a podcast about a game 20, 30 years ago, you try to remember what it was like playing it back then, especially, you know, your show. That's kind of the whole point, right? And yeah, it probably would have been, yeah, we had a few that we owned, especially early into the NES. When we first got it, probably in like maybe Christmas 92, if not 93. Yeah, what other options we would have had. And this was probably a rental. So it would have been played because it's like, this is the game it was our chosen game for that weekend, you know? We waited all week to go to that place on Saturday morning and play it all day Saturday and Sunday. And so, but I don't know that it would have taken the time over even like SimCity or other games that I remember owning, Street Fighter and of course Super Mario, Donkey Kong, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, it has a little bit of notoriety with the earlier games I remember enjoying the earlier games more. And then, yeah, when this game just didn't really have anything kind of extra or bonus other than, you know, slightly better graphics.
Right.
And a decent soundtrack. No, I think it is going into the closet.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like once I brought up Mario World, and I'm like, there's no way it stands toe to toe. Now I think it's head and shoulders above something like Bonkers or something, or already Lightfoot, or some of the weirder platformers that were available. But
Spanky's Quest?
yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it's called, right? Something like that.
Yeah, so it's like, and then like looking at the development history, when it's just like, oh yeah, Hudson was like, well, this is one of our best selling IPs, so let's just do that. But for the Super Nintendo, it just kind of seems like, well, it just seems kind of throwaway, especially with what the product is that we have. Super Adventure Island was released on January 11th, 1992 in Japan for the Super Famicom, and then April and November 92 for Super Nintendo in North America and Europe, respectively. Review scores for context, because we're not professionals. Famitsu gave it its lowest score of 21 out of 40. All Game has it at 3.5 out of 5. Computer and Video Games gave it 87 out of 100. And Electronic Gaming Monthly gave it 8.25 out of 10. So, respectable scores, actually. Not as good as Mario World, but, it's up there. And as for user reviews, I could not find any perfect scored user reviews for the game, but I did find a Facebook post by one Kathy Nash asking if anybody has any opinions on Adventure Island Water Park in Florida. And she did get a response from Dallas Wilfon, who says, it's fun.
I was really hoping they were going to say something about the Hudson Soft Adventure Island.
It would have been great. Yeah, she was asking about Adventure
Great
Island.
rental, do not buy.
Hey, folks. Before we get back to the episode, I just wanted to take a moment to talk about how you can support the main quest. The show's Patreon is the best way to keep this thing going. And when you subscribe, you'll get access to bonus episodes, early access to regular content, and exclusive side shows that you can't get anywhere else. What was that? Anyway, Patreon support helps me cover hosting costs, equipment, and gives me more time to do deeper dives into the games that you love.
Zero mercy.
Okay. Yeah, so you'll even receive bonus written reviews about games that I'm playing outside of the program, and
This message is brought to you by Hellpiss Zero Mercy, the only energy drink that inflicts poison, berserk, and permanent haste.
right. I didn't sign off on that. That's not real. Just ignore that.
Now available in Red Ring Riptide. Only at participating cursed Patreon feeds.
I don't even know what that means. There is no energy drink. Listen, I promise, the Patreon, it's just normal podcast content. Nothing will poison you. Or whatever. Maybe.
Hellpiss, unleash the chaos, or forever live at 15 FPS.
Just check the show notes for the Patreon link. And thank you. And I guess drink responsibly. But not that. Don't drink that. Well, let's dive into what you, dear listeners, think of the game that we are talking about tonight. This is, of course, Retro Recollections. This is the portion of the show where I call out to you guys and I'm like, hey, I'm playing this game next. What do you think about it? And you guys write in. And where do you write in? Where do I shout out all of these beautiful things? Well, it's in the Main Quest Podcast Discord server in the Retro Recollections channel. If you want to participate, you got to join the Discord. It's completely free. The link to that is forever linkable in the show notes. So check it out. And first, I first want to say I'm incredibly disappointed in you guys. Like Super Adventure Island isn't like the most niche game out there. In fact, I had more input on Out of This World, which was like a game I didn't think anybody has heard of. Yeah, fantastic. It is. A lot more representation for that game than what we've got here. But I did include all of the comments that I got. We're going to start with, we'll start with the most relevant ones to the ones that aren't very relevant at all. Sorry, guys. I love you. Lethco from the Afterglow podcast says, seen it at a friend's house and dabbled a little. Moved on to other games fairly quickly, though. To be honest, I haven't given it a fair shake yet. Kind of like what we were just talking about. Somewhat of a disposable game, unfortunately. Next, we have Chris Copleen. You know him well. We all know him well from the Retro Hangover podcast, who says, I know I played it, rented it, but I don't remember it all. I'm pretty sure this isn't the one where Yuzo Koshiro composed the music, though.
Yep.
You sure about that, Chris? Positive, buddy.
It was some Yuzo K. That's all we know.
And then we have Soups, who says, this is a textbook. I've seen it a billion times at Blockbuster ass game. I don't know anyone that's played this. Laugh out loud. And lastly, we have Phil of Deleted Saves, who says, I mean, I played the NES one. I had to look this one up on YouTube. I must have missed it. So your experience is that you have no experience at all. Perfect.
Yeah. This might have you just should have read these off. I might have been the podcast. Mm-hmm. Other than Chris's not being sure about Koshiro's work.
I'm not sure if that's Chris just being really confident or if he's just being sarcastic. I can't tell. Yeah, pretty damning retro recollections there. Maybe we'll talk about why that is. Again, thank you guys. Thank you guys for writing in with your non-experiences for once. Whatever. So, of course, we first have to start talking about the story and plot of the game, which there is one.
Yeah.
It's got that. It just kind of seems like one of those things, like it's a pretty simple platformer and they just kind of have a story out of obligation. Very much a holdover from, the early 80s, mid 80s, like arcade games where it's like, I guess you need a reason to be doing what you're doing. So here's just a little cutscene at the beginning of the game and you move on from it.
Yeah.
You need a goal. And that goal is to save your woman who's been turned to stone by a little witch thing.
A dark cloak.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is the dark cloak per the manual.
Yeah, it's funny. I too was curious to Google the manual and see. Well, sure, there must be more backstory than the 15-second cutscene we get at the beginning. No, not really. It is basically, if you were to, have if you have like audio description caption kind of thing, like for, I guess, the seeing impaired, that's basically what they would hear. What's in the manual is they're just hanging out, one day, and then Dark Cloak shows up, turns the girl to stone, and Master Higgins ain't having that. Nothing extra. Not that it needed, but I was surprised. Like you think still in this age we'd get that more backstory, like dark history of when Higgins, crossed dark Cloak earlier in his career. I don't know. Nothing.
30 pages of lore like Diablo.
Yeah. Exactly.
How Dark Cloak was just a simple villager in a farming area when taxation occurred, and then there was
taxes on coconuts and pineapples.
Yeah, and so legislation was passed, and like his farmland was ruined, and sent him down the dark path of witchcraft, which turned him into a monster. I don't know what I'm talking about.
That's good. I like it. I'm into it. I need more.
At least, I played Mario is Missing recently. I did an episode on that a couple episodes ago, and that game did a lot of heavy lifting to justify why Mario is missing. And it was doing way too much for a game that's made for 5-year-olds. So like, this is like just simple and to the point where I'm like, yeah, I appreciate that. You know, I don't need to know why I'm running around and collecting fruit. I don't need it.
I will say one other gripe with the manual, because there was a scanned PDF I found. There's a picture of Higgins on the dinosaur. It's like the exact dinosaur from Adventure Island 2, which is not in this game. Yeah. Which actually now I'm wondering, was there maybe plan to do more with this game that they just didn't either decide to do, or budget ran out or something? Like maybe they planned to add dinosaurs and stuff and a world map, but they spent all the money on Yuzo Koshiro.
They have a meeting with produce or whatever, and they ask, produce comes in the office and asks for a little bit more money, and they're just like, oh yeah, sure, what's it for? You guys gonna add a dinosaur or something into the game, like a companion? And they're just like, no, we hired Yuzo Koshiro, we gotta pay him. The executive at Hudson's like, you did what? I will say that starry sky that's going on looks real nice. There's something about the aesthetic of that night sky that they've got going on that looks real nice. So I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah, they must have been making these games all at the same time, because like they were all in 92, 91. Like, that's crazy. Anyway, we're past all that, but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
still kind of blowing my
before
mind.
I digress even more. Yeah. Let's get into the gameplay here, which, I mean, there's not much to say. If you've played any of the other Adventure Island games, you kind of know exactly what you're going to get here. It's very similar to at least the two games that I've covered already. You've got the traditional health bar, which is actually replaced by an energy bar that also functions as a timer. It is noticeably less strict than in the other games. I felt like in the other two games, and it's going to be very hard for me not to compare this to the other games because I covered them. So I feel like that's fair. I felt like in the other games I had no time to do anything. So I felt like this timer was a lot less oppressive. And of course you've got fruit that you collect, and that refills the timer. And I also think that the game was far more generous with the fruit drops and the fruit placement in this game than they were in the other games. I overall thought right out of the gate, this game is a lot easier than those other games. I initially, I messaged you briefly and I was like, man, this game is hard. That was just like, basically like one of my first playthroughs. And after dying a couple times, then you just kind of get the hang of it. But I overall thought this was a much easier play than those other ones were.
Oh, wow. I'm a little surprised. I'm glad I didn't have to play those other ones. I had a hard time with it, I'll be honest.
Oh, okay.
I mean, mostly just the one hit. Like, you can't really make one mistake or miss an enemy coming at you. It's pretty restrictive. And I mean, they give you like a couple lives and a couple continues, but that's it. And so if you think about it, like you get hit 5 times, 6 times, game over. And yeah, I mean, I didn't sit down for hours like, okay, I'm going to memorize every enemy placement. So yeah, I thought it was tough and not the greatest of controls. Again, yeah, if I had spent a little more time with it, probably would have started to get into a rhythm. But yeah, I don't know. I'm losing it in my old age. But I that one
you're playing too many. You're playing too many
yeah.
RPGs. You're tapping A too many times.
Exactly. Yeah.
In my defense, I covered both of those games pretty early on in the podcast. Like both were within the first year, I believe, or at least very close. And I just never understood, the mechanic of having to have Master Higgins constantly moving and like having that forward momentum just never sat right with me. I always hated it. There's always like friction with it. But oddly enough, as I was playing this, I was like, well, I've played a lot of Sonic games and those are always supposedly about moving around, and going fast. But in reality, those games are about sections where you are moving quickly, but sections where you are slowing down. And so as I was playing through this coming to an Adventure Island game for the first time in 5 years, I think I was able to find that approach and use it well enough where I'm like, okay, I need to slow down here, and deal with these enemies. Or there are sections where like, okay, yeah, I can see I saw what the game is already going to throw at me. I already died. I already know it's coming. So I can kind of speed through this and also use my weapons.
Right.
And the thing that surprised me the most about this game is that there are genuine, like this wants to be more of a platformer than those older games were. There are stages that go completely vertical. So that's, as far as I know, that's a first in the series. There's nothing like that in those other games. So I do appreciate the gameplay change up here. I do find it interesting that you had mentioned the controls, because one of the strange changes that they made to this game was that they completely removed the ability to make Master Higgins run.
Yeah.
Because in those older games, you could hold, I think it was like A, maybe it was A. You could hold A to run, but it was also the button you used to attack, which was a very, very strange thing. And I remember bitching about that in those episodes. It was both the same for TurboGrafx and the NES. It was very strange. But in this, they completely removed it. So Master Higgins now just moves at a fixed speed unless he's riding on the skateboard. Skateboard is one of the few power-ups that return in this game. And it's weird because the Super Nintendo controller has so many more inputs. You have all the face buttons. You even have the shoulder buttons that like none of the games used. And so, running it didn't make as much sense to be included in those older games when there were only 2 face buttons on the controllers. And so I feel like this is it's a weird choice to make. Like it's an unnecessary regression instead of something that they could have just refined. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the same thing. Like, why are you not using more buttons? Or the buttons just do the same thing the other things do. Jump and attack. Like, that was confusing me at first. Like, am I running faster? No. Wait, am I? No. Like, I probably spent a good 5 minutes, like, practicing. Like, is this guy running? Because I felt like the jumps, too, maybe we'll get to this, but the jumps were a little trickier to, like, yeah, you need that momentum to actually be jumping high. You can't just, like, Mario from the ground, which took a bit of getting used to. Yeah, once I realized that too, that okay, it's go or stop basically. That made it a little easier. I still missed a few jumps. Thinking about those like moving platforms and the ones that would fall and stuff like that. But
yeah, he has never had the same momentum as Mario. I think I talked about that in the other episodes that I've done, where I was like, yeah, this seems like, especially the NES game, which came before New Adventure Island, of course, was like, it felt like it was riding off the coattails of Mario, right? But of course, not the same developers, not the same programming tricks. Of course, he doesn't move like Mario. But after all this time and after playing so many games, I'm kind of like, well, yeah, he's got his own rhythm and cadence to him that you have to kind of get used to. And to be fair to those other games, the levels were designed properly around that and intentionally. This one, so, okay. Before I get to, let me put a pin in the level design part. I want to go back to the controls for a second, because they did add something to this game. And I think that is because there are a few more vertical stages, or I shouldn't even say stages, but vertical sections to this game. And that they added a super jump, which is an interesting inclusion considering that they cut the run button out. Now, I mean, like, it's just so strange. So like the super jump is great. You know, it's tactile, right? You just hold down and then you press the jump button and he gets like a massive boost of air, which they don't really teach you, right? This is like definitely something you have to look at into the manual for. The first part I realized that you had to use the super jump was I think it's the second stage, actually. I think it's like a cave level, and then you get to a part that has like steps in it, and like the steps are just a little too high for the normal jump, and they also signify that by having some fruit that is just out of reach also. And I was just jumping all over the place trying to get up that step. But Master Higgins does like have a slightly different animation when he crouches, that it kind of looks like he's about to like pop off and do something. But if you weren't paying attention, you would never notice that. I think I was crouching and then I accidentally hit the jump button and he just popped up into the air, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's neat. Okay, good. So yeah, I mean, that was not, as far as I know, I don't think that was in any of the other games. It definitely wasn't in the two that I played.
yeah, and they didn't feel real good to use, I guess. Maybe I just, again, needed more practice with it. But I relied more on the kind of moving a bit to jump higher rather than the super jumps. Because like you were saying, how it was pretty generous with the timing. I wasn't necessarily trying to get every fruit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I relied on the super jump, but I think you have to use it in at least like 2 of the boss fights. And then, and just in some other general platforming areas. Going into the level design now, you have your traditional side-scrolling stages. You have water levels, which I believe are new for the series as well. Again, vertical stages and the castle stages. So it just feels like with the inclusion of the super jump, that this time around, like the platforming here feels more intentional rather than Master Higgins just running around in an obstacle course for the most part. So right. I felt like for the first time, I felt like the variety in the level design felt refreshing, and it wasn't like as monotonous as the other two games.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, is that a decision for better or worse? I don't know. With the mine carts and the tree level is kind of cool, I guess, and the swimming levels. But
Well, let's get into like the enemies and the power-ups or lack thereof for
Sure.
everything all around, because I think this is something you wanted to mention, and you've kind of touched on it a little bit. Weapon progression is very so there's only two weapons.
Two powerful
Dear
weapons,
listeners.
according to the manual.
They are powerful. Yeah. The progression is kind of structured like a Castlevania game, like the same way
Sorta,
the
yeah.
upgrades to the whip works, where it's like, so you either get your base weapon is either an axe or a boomerang, and each of them just follow a very linear upgrade path, basically. That said, I mean, you really only have 3 power-ups total, which is a complete downgrade even from the NES Adventure Island. There's no invincibility. There's like no additional item modifiers. There's no like other meaningful power-ups. Again, there's the skateboard that comes back, but it only pops up so often. Speaking of popping up, no random drops in this game. Like in the other games, like egg would show up and would like hatch an item or something, and it would just be basically RNG for the most part. So yeah, the game plays very differently when it is just bare bones weaponry and ways of maneuvering around the stage. I mean, there's really nothing here. It's almost a complete downgrade from that first game, which is very strange. Especially when you mentioned earlier, Adventure Island 2 came out before this and has a ton more stuff to play around with than this game does.
Yeah. Maybe they did have that kind of beginner mindset, like someone younger is getting their first console, and instead of the NES, they just start with the Super Nintendo, and you get them this game, and there's really not that much to figure out. There's hardly anything to figure out. So sometimes in my older days of gameplay, I do appreciate when something's simple and there's not overly complicated options and things like that. But I mean, yeah, we're talking 2 sort of different options. Not even really options.
Yeah.
It's just the one you come across or really have to jump through to get through the level. When to me, the boomerang was way better than the axe. I don't know what you thought, but
Hell yeah.
it seemed like it was always better
the arc
to
of
avoid
the
the axe.
100%. Yeah, the arc of the axe, it just goes over enemies. It's like, why do I have this? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's coming up until it comes up, and by the time I throw it, it's going over the enemy and I'm going to get hit. So, yeah,
Right.
it's
The boomerang,
the boomerang,
more predictable angle, and it comes back. It's just awesome. I think you can shoot it up, right? Up and down,
Yes, you can.
which I think the
Yes,
axe
that's
does not.
another thing that was added here.
But
Yeah, 100%.
keep looking at the manual because it just makes me laugh. Like it's trying to overhype everything. His 2 powerful weapons. He collects enough of them. He shoots them like fire. He's also an awesome skateboarder. It's verbatim what's in the manual.
I think verbatim that same description is in the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater manual too.
Remember when Tony was throwing his boomerang like fire?
If they
fair
ever
part.
make another mainline Tony Hawk game, they should have Master Higgins as a unlockable character.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
What's Hudson doing right now? Who owns them?
Oof. Probably, I'm guessing no one.
Oh yeah, Konami. I knew that.
Oh, there you go. Parent company, Konami.
Yeah, no, Master Higgins is definitely not coming back. It's dead. 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 something else I wanted to mention in comparison to those other games. The enemy variety is like really limited here. There's like 7 or 8 different enemies, and they all kind of behave in similar ways. Like there are enemies that attack horizontally. There are enemies that kind of drop from the screen. And then there are enemies that just kind of block your path. And to a lesser extent in the like 2 water stages that there are, they just kind of follow you around. So compared to the older games, the enemies just kind of feel very disconnected from the level design. Like in those earlier games, like the enemy placement made the game not only have like not only felt like a platformer, but it also kind of felt like a puzzle, because each enemy forced you to think about exactly how you had to move around each stage. Yeah. And this one, with the simplified attacks and the simplified platforming and the overpowered jump that you can have, everything just feels, overall, again, the feeling of this is just it's just really easy and seems like a lesser experience than those other games. It's not even close compared to those other games. And I mean, yeah, initially I kind of had a rough time with it because I kind of had to get my Adventure Island hands back after all these years. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's it's hard to guess what they were actually going for with this game. Considering there's really no interviews about this specifically. It's hard to, I just wonder like if the decision to make this game as easy as it is was like an intentional decision, or if this was just something that got lost in translation as they were just trying to make a 16-bit Adventure Island game. Yeah. I don't know.
No, yeah, the more we're sort of unpacking it and I'm thinking about it, it feels either rushed or condensed down to like not to the sense of like cash grab necessarily, but like, hey, we want to stay relevant and get something on the new platform, and we'll kind of maybe take one too many shortcuts, or like shortcuts in an effective way. Like it's so similar to the older game. It doesn't have a ton of complexity when it comes to the monsters and the power-ups.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think the lack of complexity is a bad thing?
I think overall it lends to, how did you put it earlier? Like a lesser experience. It's certainly less memorable based on, my own memory and the reflections we had. I think that's it. Yeah, it just made it less memorable more than anything. Just maybe watered down is another way to put it.
Sure. I would say, to put a positive spin on it, is that it's definitely more accessible than those other games. I feel like this is like, if you've never played a Super Adventure Island game, and maybe I'm getting into my final thoughts here a little bit, this is the one you start with, and then you kind of graduate to those other ones. But overall, I mean, yeah, I kind of feel the same, where like, once I was done playing this and I beat it, which by the way, I never beat that first Adventure Island game when I played it for the podcast. Like that's how difficult it was, which I think just lends to that era of games where it's just like, yeah, this is NES hard. New Adventure Island, still pretty difficult, but I was able to beat that one. And this one, yeah, I, again, started out a little rough, but after a while I got used to it. And yeah, I don't think, like, just to sum up my thoughts here on the gameplay, I don't think it does anything bad. Like, all of my gripes are coming from the comparison of the other games. So, just looking at this by itself, it doesn't do anything terrible. It's just, as you said, and a lot of the listeners in the Retro Recollections said, is that it's just kind of unmemorable, especially when you pair it with the console or the game that it was packed in with the console was Super Mario World. So in a console that has a pile full of platformers, this one is better than most, but I feel like it also kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit.
Yeah. Well put.
Anything else that we didn't touch on in the gameplay that you want to talk about?
I mean, the only thing that's maybe a little bit different we hadn't really covered was the boss fights, which I didn't get to experience a ton of. I'll be frank with. I did watch a long play of to try to get an appreciation for all of it. And it seemed like if you knew what you were doing and you had the power-ups, you could crush through these bosses. Like, the easiest part of the whole stage is the boss. If you know the right spot to stand and you got the boomerang powered up, then you're golden. Cool to look at, but we'll get into that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those situations where the level, is definitely harder than the bosses. Although, that first boss, I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I thought I was supposed to hit. I thought it was like one of those traditional Nintendo bosses where, like, because it has the hands, you know how Nintendo likes to make bosses with hands that move around?
Right.
I thought it was one of those. So I was trying to hit the hand and I couldn't tell, like, where I was supposed to damage it, but you have to hit it in the head. And then once you figure that out, I mean, you can just beat the boss in like 5 seconds. It's very easy. And then there's another boss that was very reminiscent of an enemy in Mega Man X, the launch octopus stage, where you're underwater and there's those giant like mechanical snakes, like those mechanical dragons that come out of the ground.
Oh yeah. Yes.
That's what I'm talking
They're
about.
like kind of pink and spiky.
And you're
or
like,
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and you gotta shoot them in the head.
Right.
There's a boss that's very similar to that, where you just stand on the back of the snake and stand behind his head and just
wail on it. Yeah.
Yeah, just wail on him, and it's like over in 5 seconds. Yeah, bosses are pretty. They're pretty bad. I feel like they were kind of an afterthought.
Yeah.
Dude, there is a man, I think it might be like the third boss. It's like this giant skeleton with like a lightsaber. Does not look like it fits in this game at all. Like it looks, it's like
it's pretty rad looking.
I'm like, is this Castlevania? Like, what the is this?
That's King Reptilian, apparently.
Oh, okay.
He'll slash with you with his laser sword.
Dude,
That's what the manual
what is
says.
this in why is this in this game? Looks cool as hell, but we'll get into that in a second. Why don't we slide into today's game segment? Are you ready, sir?
Oh, I'm ready.
This is a game that I would like to call Protagonist Paradise. Ashton, I'm going to give you the name of 10 island settings from various games. All you have to do is name the character, the protagonist, that is mostly associated with the island that I give you.
Okay.
As a side note, I also need you to tell me if you would be able to survive on that island with that character. if you were trapped there with them, would you be able to survive? So, got it? Simple?
Sure,
Simple
yeah,
enough?
I think so. Yeah.
I'm going to give you an island name. You got to name the character associated with it.
Oof.
We'll start out
Nervous,
easy.
but okay.
We'll start out easy. Island 1. Donkey Kong Island.
I'm guessing Donkey Kong. June. Okay. That's good. He's not
Wait, were you
senior.
going to change your mind?
Well, I didn't even look like, oh no, it's not the original Donkey Kong. Because that's Cranky Kong or something.
Ashton, I would never trick you. I don't trick anybody in these games.
Good.
Never. That is correct. Yes, Donkey Kong. Next island. Oh, Would you survive?
Would I survive with Donkey? Does he share his bananas with me?
He doesn't seem like he's very nice when it comes to sharing.
That's
his
true.
bananas.
Yeah. I would probably stay out of his way.
Okay.
So if it's a big enough island.
Island number 2, Angel Island.
Angel Island. Do I get to know like from a console or PC game or anything?
Angel Island. No.
I don't think I know this one. I feel like I'm going to do poorly the rest of the time, but Angel Island. No.
It is from a series that we have covered in previous King of Games. So I'll give you that.
Oh,
which is,
no? It's not from a Dragon Quest
could be
game,
anything
is it?
still.
No. What am I thinking of? I don't know.
It's Knuckles.
Ah.
From Sonic, Angel Island.
I'm going to get heat for that one.
Would you be able to survive on Angel Island with Knuckles?
Probably. He'd probably want to whip me into shape, but I could.
Yeah, he seems pretty chill.
Yeah. And he
knows
might
his way
share
around.
his grapes more likely than Donkey Kong.
Yeah. The next island is Rook Islands.
Jeez, I'm going to do bad on the rest of these. Rook Island. Could be a bird, could be chess. How many out of these? 10?
Yes, sir.
Rook. There's something on the like very tip of my brain, but keeps eluding me. I don't know. Sorry.
Jason Brody.
Jason
from Far Cry.
Oh, never played any of them. Sorry.
Oh, shame.
Yep.
Do you think you would be able to live with Jason Brody on Rock Island? Oh, okay.
Sounds like not my kind of guy, but I'm pretty agreeable.
Okay, so if you had a choice between him and Donkey Kong,
maybe Donkey.
would you rather take the known quantity or the unknown quantity?
Yeah, maybe Donkey.
Okay.
All right, island number 4, Outset Island.
Oh, Outset. I should have studied. Should have studied my islands. Is it Master Higgins? Does Super Adventure Island even have a name?
I want to say it was just like Polynesia.
I think it's just an uncharted island. Or just Adventure Island.
Full of children.
No. Outset. Is that what it was? Outset? Outlook?
Yes, Outset Island. Yep.
Nope.
No idea.
Nope.
Right. It is Link
Oh.
from the Wind Waker.
Oh, you know what? That's like the one Legend of Zelda game I never played. Was Wind Waker. Not the one, but
Oh, bummer. I was going to go with Dragon Roost because that's like one of the fan favorite islands. But I was like, well, Link isn't from Dragon Roost in that game. He's from Outset. So used Outset. Would you be able to survive with Link? He's a quiet guy.
yeah, I was going to say, huh? Yeah, I think Link and I could hang.
He's strong.
Yeah.
He'll protect you.
Yeah.
Island number 5, Monkey Island.
Oh, I knew this was going to be one, and I've been trying to think of that guy's name. Oh, what the fuck is it?
It's not Donkey Kong, I'll tell you that much.
Okay.
Even though it makes sense.
Yeah. What is his name? It's something like a goofy, like it's like almost a pun, right? Or something like that. Or
if it's a pun, then I don't understand it.
Or it's like, the name you would give somebody if you were going to give them a pirate name. It's been so long since I played those games, but I played Sea of Thieves for a little bit, and they did a crossover. And he's one of the characters that you, like, follow. Like, you go on a quest. Oh, it's something. Lestrange? No. It's something, isn't it?
It's funny. I was going to put a Sea of Thieves island in here, but I was like, that seems a little too vague.
That might have, I can't remember.
You know what? I'm going to give it to you. I can tell you know. And I can tell you'll be like, oh, when I say Guybrush Threepwood.
Guybrush. Yeah. That's it. That's a pity point. Thank you.
Would you survive on an island with him?
Pretty clever guy. With his like MacGyver-esque little solutions to puzzles he comes with. So yeah, I think so. As long as I know some good insults. I think that's how they spar in that game.
Island 6. Delfino Isle.
Delfino Isle. That sounds like it means Dolphin Island. From Wave Race. No. Am I closer than I think? No. No, I don't know.
I mean, you are knocking on the door.
Oh, is it?
I mean, what
Echo the
what
Dolphin?
game are you living with that answer? Or are you going to listen to the hint that I gave you?
I'll take the hint.
I was going to say, the console that this game is on, the code name was Dolphin.
Oh.
Dude, if you can remember that, if you can remember the console, you might get this.
That's.
It also had a wave race game on it.
Nah, the only Wave
You're
Race
knocking on the door.
I knew was 64, but well, now I'm forgetting which was the Dolphin. Was it the Dreamcast or the Saturn? Right. I don't know.
You're straying from the light. I'm sorry.
Oh, the GameCube was the.
It's Mario.
Ah.
Mario Sunshine.
Ah. I played that on the 3D remake, but I didn't get very far. I didn't like it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I was trying to. You got it just as I rang you up for the incorrect answer. You're like, oh, GameCube. Sorry. Would you survive on an island with Mario?
Of course.
That's the worse than Donkey Kong in my opinion. But
I don't know. We'd just hang out and eat pizzas or whatever.
what would you do if Mario threw his hat on you and then became you?
Because I wouldn't have a choice.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm not sure what powers he would absorb. Just drinking too much and apparently not enough video game trivia knowledge. Podcast editing skills.
Yeah.
He'd be on every podcast. It's me, Ashton.
You would have a sick looking mustache, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Island number 7, Destiny Island.
Oh, Jimmy Christmas. Why am I blanking on everything today? Destiny Island is. What the hell is this from? I don't know. I'm gonna kick myself for this one, I think.
Big money!
Oh, wrong one.
I was like, what?
Sora, Kingdom Hearts.
Oh my gosh. How did I miss that one?
Clearly you don't play either you don't play enough Kingdom Hearts or you don't listen to enough Unlockables. So I don't know which one.
Yeah.
Shout out to Eric. Would you survive on an island with Sora?
I suppose, would he survive? He's the one always trying to get off of Destiny Island, right?
That is true.
Does Destiny Island even exist? I don't even know. He probably would get on my nerves.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right, kid.
Dude, I was just gonna say, yeah, it would be fun for a while to like talk to him, but it's just like, okay, dude, just, like stop being so introspective. Like, shut up. All right, island number 8.
Phew, I'm doing so poorly.
Insanity Island, spelled N, just the letter N, and then Sanity Island. Insanity Island.
Is that Crash Bandicoot? No.
Where is it?
Oh,
you got it.
It
Certainly is. Yes.
Thanks to the end. What is it? Sanity Trio or whatever, the bundle or whatever they remade.
I figured I would have to at least give you that because if I just say Insanity Island, that doesn't sound genuine. Would you survive on an island with Crash Bandicoot?
Do any of his friends come with him? No, not sure that helps.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No. Sorry, you don't get to the sexy Bandicoot, Ashton.
I mean, I didn't say that.
Bandicoot with the
I didn't say that. You said it. I might have been thinking it, but I didn't say it.
Island number 9, Sevi Island.
Sevi?
Yeah, Sevii, Sevi Island.
That's not ringing any bells at all for me. Sorry. Sevi. No.
Red from Pokemon Red. Specifically Fire Red. It's the remakes.
Oh. I didn't know the islands had names. I thought it was just like Kanto region or whatever.
It's an end game thing. Yeah. It's, I guess you would call them an archipelago. Archipelago? How would you say that?
Archipelago.
Did I say that right?
Yeah.
I'm smart. I know words. Would you survive on an island with Red?
Again,
Also
not much of a
quiet.
talker. Yeah. I guess if we can catch Pokemon, it might be fun. Best time.
Yeah, I suppose there wouldn't be any like dangerous critters because you'd just be capturing all of them. You could eat them. You would survive on food alone.
Do they eat Pokemon? I don't know.
Ashton, as I said, if you remember back to island number 1, Donkey Kong Island, I'll never try and trick you. I would never try and trick you. Island number 10 is called The Island.
The island.
The Island. That is exactly what it's called.
This actually sounds familiar for some reason.
Dude, if you get this, I might just give you all 10 points. Dear listener, if you get this, you get all 10 points. You win.
Is it like Mist or something like that? Does that even have a protagonist? The Island. No, but I appreciate the trickery or the cleverness of the...
First of all, I didn't even think of Mist. I should have included that on here. The answer I was looking for was The Witness, which is also the game The Witness.
That's weird that really like crossed my mind. And I was like, does that have a protagonist or is it just single player? Anyway, I don't get
The
it.
protagonist is just simply called The Witness in the game. So
maybe it's just a
would you...
The only island I could think of was, I think, Sea Island from Star Tropics. That was like the only, when you said naming islands, that was, I actually don't remember the kid's name. I think it's James or something.
That sounds right. Yeah, it's like really, it's super American. I want to say that it's like Babe Ruth or something. Like they really Americanized like
That's
that
game. James Baby Ruth.
Would you survive
The Witness.
on an island with?
What
the
are they
witness?
witnessing? Is the question. How much witnessing is happening?
Can you trust them?
That was pretty bad. I think
Yeah,
2 out of 10.
Yeah, 3 out of 10.
Oh,
yeah,
3.
No,
There's a gimme.
I gave you Guybrush. Yeah, I gave you Guybrush.
Yeah.
I expected better out of you, Ashton.
Sorry. Geography, never my strong suit.
Hey, did you have some fun though?
Oh, lots of fun.
Great. That's what I like to hear. This game has been called Protagonist Paradise. All right, let's finish up this episode talking about the presentation of Super Adventure Island. We've kind of touched on it here and there throughout the podcast. And I'll just start out by saying that I think this game is gorgeous. I think the strongest aspects of this game is its presentation. Like the graphics, they pop. The colors are incredibly saturated. There's strong contrasts. The sprites are huge. They're expressive. Like I said, that opening scene is, for what it is, it's charming. And I love like I said, the night sky and everything is really great. There's an entire section with like a mode 7 octopus or whatever as like the second boss. There's also, but before you even get to that boss, the whole reason why you're underwater is because you get swallowed up by a whale.
Oh, right. Yes.
Which was just as much of a technical showpiece as the whale in Sonic Adventure, probably.
Comparable, sure.
And yeah, I mean, the soundtrack is composed by Yuzo Koshiro. I mean, the soundtrack is, again, like hitting way above its weight. Like it doesn't exactly belong in this game. Say like the bosses also don't belong in this game, but also like the soundtrack is just like, once you know it's Yuzo Koshiro, like you can't unhear it. Like it's just his style is just like unmistakable. Like this sounds like it should be in a Shinobi game or something. Yeah. Like not Adventure Island. It's very weird. But yeah, I mean, I think the presentation is fantastic.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, again, it's kind of like for what we are given, I like it. It's just, could they have done more, or could there have been something a bit more interesting? I don't know. Maybe I'm asking a little too much there, but yeah, not a ton of enemy variety, unfortunately. Some of them are real small and like, I don't know. Like, was it intentional just to have a tiny character that was like hard to hit, or they just didn't spend a lot of time on some of them? There was something very like, as I was listening to it, and maybe it's Yuzo Koshiro, but like it felt very Super Nintendo sounding. Like, I don't know how else to put it, but just like maybe the instrumentation that he chose. Yeah, no, overall, that's, yeah, I would agree. The high point of any saving grace for this game would be that it looks and sounds really good.
It's interesting you bring up the size of the enemy sprites. I mean, I didn't realize it until you just said it, but I gotta wonder, like, you know, they probably didn't want it to take up too much screen real estate. Maybe it was an intentional gameplay decision, because in the older games, the one thing that I complained about is that it was very much like those games were very reminiscent of arcade games, where it had that like quarter eating design philosophy where it's like you don't know what enemy's coming up until you see it. Yeah. So I feel like in this game it's very much different. That just lends back to its easier nature, in my opinion. And that the enemies are smaller so they can put them on screen faster, so you can kind of see what's coming up. Design wise, I mean they're not very interesting. They're kind of uninspired, but that's kind of the enemy design in this franchise as a whole. They're just obstacles that you're supposed to either jump over or just hit immediately. So you're not even really supposed to see them that much. So
right.
Yeah, I get what you're saying though.
Yeah, I mean, there's fish in the fish level. There's penguins on the tropical island, but whatever.
Yeah, strange.
I feel like
strange.
Yeah, they reused a lot, like pretty much a lot of the same enemies throughout the whole game. Yeah, watered down still, I think. But of any flavor, it's coming from the graphics and the sound, I think.
A little disappointed that there wasn't too many sections that had any parallax scrolling in it. Like those cave levels could have definitely used it. I feel like it didn't fully fully utilize the hardware that was given to them.
Yeah, just like the
it's possible
controls.
They just didn't really know how to do it well.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Oh, bosses. You said you wanted to talk about the bosses here.
Oh, I just thought of the sprites and things that they spent time on. They thought the bosses looked cool. Nice and detailed, and yes, dragons or lizard skeleton laser sword guy. What is going on with this? Oh man,
he looks really cool.
Yeah,
don't know what he's doing in this game, but whatever.
And he like falls apart when you hit him or whatever. Anyway,
I think it was a good trade-off, I guess, where it's like, okay, here's these little normal enemies, right? But then when you get to the boss, it's like, here's this giant spectacle right? Only problem is that you're not going to see them for very long because they are very easy. But yeah, man, that's what you come to this game for, really, is the presentation. I feel like the gameplay is secondary for the most part.
Yeah.
All that's left is for us to do is to summarize our thoughts and see if we would recommend anybody check out Super Adventure Island in 2026. And Ashton, I'll let you close us out. I will go first, and I will say that, yeah, sure. I give this a light recommend. I wouldn't give this like a full-hearted recommend or anything. This isn't something you need to rush out and play or anything like that. And I've kind of alluded to the fact that in a console that has a ton of platforming games, I feel like this kind of, as far as a tier list goes, like would be in like the A tier, right? Whereas like a lot of platformers you could probably put like in the D tier on that console. You know, in context of the franchise, yeah, this is a little disappointing. And I know I've been comparing this game to those other games all night long, but if I'm just looking at it for what it is, I think I said it earlier where I was like, yeah, if you're coming to the franchise for the first time, maybe this is the game you want to start with, and then you graduate to those other games. But if you're an Adventure Island connoisseur, you could probably stay away from this one. But I think I've sounded really negative all night, but it's actually it's fine. It's fine. So I'll leave it at that. Ashton, what about you?
Wow, I don't know that I agree. A tier platformer? Wow.
Okay. All right. Maybe I was a little generous, but sure.
Yeah. I mean, no, not the. I agree. I think my sticking point that we've been saying a lot about is how memorable is this experience going to be for anybody? Like, who am I recommending this to? The average gamer or even an average retro gaming fan? Yeah, I just don't know that they're going to be like, I'm glad that I spent 2 hours of my life or whatever it takes. I mean, if you really knew what you were doing, you probably get this game in 25 minutes or something. But to learn the curve of it, and I found it pretty challenging without much of a reward feeling when I finally was starting to progress, I guess. And yeah, when there are so many platformers, I mean, I can't think of so many more I'd recommend, but probably any of the ones that come to mind, I'd probably rather play than Super Adventure Island. And yeah, I think the other games in the franchises, at least, you know, the ones I remember, the older games were better. Yeah, I could maybe stretch to put it in the C tier of platformers. Okay. And maybe it's just that the presentation
for the Super Nintendo library.
Yeah,
I'm not saying like of all time. I was just saying in context of the Super Nintendo. I'm sorry, I probably should have.
No, I get you. Yeah, you're right. What it does fine. You know, if you're thirsty and you need something to drink, you'll be fine. Drink water. You know, but if you're going out and you're actually spending time of your life and money that you earned to enjoy a drink, you're not going to order water. You're going to want to drink something that you say, I'm glad I ordered that. And I'll remember this, you know, IPA that I had at a local brewery. You know, am I being a little too strict? Like, you're now going to this, you know, the Nintendo of Super Mario's brewery in that case or whatever, you know, but, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I would honestly recommend this to anyone. If they were dying, if you're on a desert island
Interesting.
dying for a drink
You
of
said to
water,
anyone.
you
If you're
need
on a-
something. God, I need a platformer right now on the Super Nintendo, or I'm gonna die. Okay, here you go. Here's Super Adventure Island.
It fell out of a coconut.
Yeah,
That's all that's left.
the last drip of my canteen. Here
Okay.
you are, friend.
Here are some other platformers.
Okay.
Are these games better or worse than Super Adventure Island?
Okay.
Kirby's Dream Land 3.
Yes.
Better than Adventure
Yeah.
Island. Kirby Superstar.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Castlevania 4.
Oh yeah. I think so.
EVO.
Oh, I love that game.
I feel like you're
That's got a bit of an RPG element to it. I don't know if I'd call that well, maybe, but
Cool Spot.
that was a Super Nintendo one?
It's on Genesis too, but
Okay.
yeah, there's a Super Nintendo.
I was thinking of an NES game, but maybe I'm thinking of something else. I don't remember. I'd probably say equal.
Okay. Stupid question. Mega Man X.
Oh. Now we're in S tier. Forget about it.
Booger Man.
Yes. Memorable game. Boogerman. Yes.
Oh, Super Adventure Island. That's weird that this came up. Michael Jordan Chaos in the Windy City.
I can't say I've played that one. But at least a rememberable character. Plock, I'm also not familiar with.
Super Bonk.
Plonk. I do remember Plonk now. Comparable, maybe a little better.
I think it's funny that they just, after 25 years, they just came out with a sequel to Super Bonk, Mega Bonk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, bad joke.
I didn't even catch it at first.
I feel like if you added Super Adventure Island to the library of NES or Super NES games that you already had, I feel like it'd be a nice way to kind of round it out. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm tired of justifying.
I don't.
Here.
Yeah, no, you don't have to prove it to me. But.
Your opinion is also valid, Ashton. It's okay.
No, I would say yes. If I'm being generous, I would be much more recommend. I would recommend it more lightly, but
you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. I am generous.
Yes.
Keep don't ever say
generous
anything
with
otherwise.
Video games in the bedroom with his money. a philanthropist.
Well, with that said, Ashton, thank you so much for coming on, dude. It was a really good treat to have you on. I mean, we've worked on things outside of this before, so it was nice to finally officially have you on.
Yeah.
I hope to have you on in the future. So
Yeah, my pleasure. Let's pick a better game
at
next
this
time.
point. You got the side up sheet. I'll give it to you again in case there's something you want to. There's not many things left, so I think it's all just bad games at this point. So,
Nice.
Yeah, you do things on the internet, don't you?
I do internet on occasion, yes.
Why don't you let everybody know what you do, where they can find you?
Sure. Thank you. Well, yeah, you mentioned a couple times I help Chris and Shane over at Retro Hangover. Great couple of guys who have lots of great guests, such as Keith has been on a number of times. They pick a game each week and review it and do a similar thing. Does it hold up? They've got tons and tons and tons of backlogs of episodes to check out, and they have a great Discord community to be a part of where they do monthly gaming challenges and kind of like a book club style game each month. Lots of cool stuff there. So that's Retro Hangover. You can find it at their link tree, linktr.
Okay.
Wait. linktr.ee/retro hangover, I believe is what theirs is. As for also myself, I have a budding new podcast called Pod Curious. It's a podcast about podcasters and their podcasts. Keith Gasper has been a guest to talk about the Main Quest podcast. So check out that episode for sure. So yeah, I'm just diving into people who do the podcasting and ask them why they do it. It's been pretty fun so far. My most recent venture is into the deep dark depths of streaming online. So my twin sibling and I, we have a Twitch channel called Sibling Mode. We've been streaming pretty regularly. It's just, we're trying to pitch it as hanging out with us, playing games, making jokes, doing funny voices for the characters, that kind of thing. And so that's on twitch.tv/sibling mode.
Yeah, everything you do is great. Of course, I back everything that you've made, even just Pod Curious, which is an incredibly interesting concept for a podcast about podcasts. And I know I've kind of floated that to a couple different communities that you're not in. I promoted the episode that I was on, and seems like it was a lot of people had good things to say about it, as they should. And then of course, Retro Hangover. It's mostly Chris and Shane doing all the hard work. But
I do say
you do some things.
That's why I say they make my job easy. Yeah.
But yeah, all great stuff. All of those links will be in the show notes for you guys to check out, of course, as well. So next time on the program, in a weird turn of events because of things that have been going on in life, I am very behind schedule. So there will be a new episode coming out after this. There always will be. When will it be coming out is the question. I am continuing my journey through the Final Fantasy games. I am all the way up to Final Fantasy V, which is it's crazy because there's only one more mainline Super Nintendo game after that. It's going to be a long time before I come back to the series. What a journey. It's been fun. So yeah, Final Fantasy V. Next episode coming up sometime. Until then, take care of yourselves and always remember it's okay to like a video game.
Okay,